Let me start by asking a question. In the last week, your usage of generative AI. How much would you quantify your usage of generative AI in the last week? 50%, 60%, 80%, maybe 100% for some of you? Out of this usage, how much did you actually follow the guidance of these Gen AI tools? Did you follow the suggestion to go to a restaurant, to plan a trip, or professionally speaking, just following the recommendation of doing a marketing strategy or strategic recommendation for a business plan or a suggestion to present to your boss or to your manager to look smarter and maybe work faster? Try to think about all this kind of usage and how it actually changed since 2-3 years ago. And that's the problem, because the latest studies show that the usage statistics of Gen AI actually is above 80% people are using it to have critical thinking and analytical thinking skills deployed through Gen AI. So the questions for the talk today is, if AI is increasingly doing the strategic thinking for us, what's left for leaders, managers to do? What is our value add in companies? How can we redefine strategic thinking? What can we do about it? And shall we do something about it? Because this is what makes us human as well. So today, I have 3 key messages I would like to convey with you. The first one, maybe it will be a bit counterintuitive, but I will argue for slow thinking, the power of slow thinking. What do I mean by that? Why slow in a fast-paced, very fast age? Actually, it's very important to step back, pause, reflect, and try to structure our thinking and really deep into the problem. So rather than arguing for speed, I would argue for depth, hence the slow thinking. Slow thinking is not indecision. Slow thinking is not about going slower or anti-agile. On the contrary, it's trying to keep the overwhelming context that we live in actually more bearable, more strategic, and more human. Hence the strategic, slow thinking that I would argue today with. And this goes against the many kind of fast-paced, uncertain, complex, ambiguous world that we live in, which is quite interesting. Because when I teach or I give courses to my students or to companies, is that, oh, we have to move fast. We have to move fast. Our competitors is moving fast. Everyone is going fast. There is a rush to speed rather than a rush to having an in-depth thinking about it. So that's my first message about the power of slow thinking in the age of AI. My second message for you is framing. What's framing? Framing is very important. Why? Because it helps us structure the problem and to have more strategic thinking. How can we have framing? For instance, in the age of AI, let's not rush towards everything that's tech. Let's see what matters. Let's have a strategy-first approach, not a tech-first approach. Why building tech for the tech? Just to build tech or more tools or more software or more hardware about that. I think the key problem here is that we're building to build an overproduction, overconsumption of a lot of digital tools, and everyone is getting overwhelmed, companies and leaders included. So here, framing the problem, meaning that first you structure, you ask the questions that need to be asked, you don't jump into solutions. Hence, ChatGPT and other tools help you jump into the solutions. So basically, let's go back to the step 1 before these Gen AI tools and try to ask the right questions. What are the questions you need to ask? And sometimes you will ask questions that are not comfortable, they're not nice, where you have to deal with things that are not very, they're complicated, that you don't have to deal with, but this is how you maintain your strategic edge in an age of AI. And for that, I think you have to challenge assumptions. You have to challenge what we know, what we don't know. What are we missing? What are we not missing? What can we change inside the team? The governance, the organization culture. So all of that needs to be a bit rethought in a way that it makes sense for the company, that where you actually take the lead, not being led by AI. And that's the big risk of AI, is being led by AI and not to take the lead with AI. And of course, your critical thinking is very, very important. How you can maintain it in the age of AI. how you can maintain your critical edge without having the convenience and the easiness of actually falling into that. So framing is very, very important. And having what we call a strategy-first approach becomes essential instead of just going for the tech and going for the answers. And I see that with a lot of examples that I have to deal with. When we step back, people block. People have a void. And that's problematic. When you get too much used to it, it's like a drug. You get too much, then you want more, and then sometimes you cannot actually go without it. And that's problematic. And this actually brings me to my third message today. It's how we deal with the illusion of certainty. AI gives us the illusion of certainty. We have clean dashboards, very well-written sentences, everything is super nice. Everyone now writes perfect English suddenly, over the last year or two. Everyone writes perfect essays, perfect reports, business plans. Everything is neat, all good, right? So why do I have to worry about? So what's our value? What's our value as managers and leaders today if everything is being done? And AI, remember, is going to come better and better with time. So how we maintain that edge? How we actually fight, or can we resist, or we can actually adjust with the illusion of certainty that AI would give us, right? How we challenge the assumptions, how we challenge the results. So there's one probably thing I can suggest is probably what I call the power of intellectual curiosity. Think about your own experiences, your daily lives, corporate or personal. How much curiosity do you employ in your daily and professional life? How much you go beyond the extra mile? How much you actually go and try to look really information and challenge yourself about your own assumptions, about your own learning, and about your own understanding of things. And this is where intellectual curiosity will beat AI, or even better, will be complementary to AI and will give you even better answers while you seek the answers. But in order to seek the answers, you have to ask the questions. Why is that the case? How many whys? Maybe you should ask many whys, not just one why. Usually people don't ask why. What do you think is this? And that's it, you have the answer, everyone is happy, it's very well written. It's not that straightforward. So at least 5 levels of why. I think it's very important to do that. And I think strategy is not about speed. Strategy is about depth, about reflection, about pausing, about taking the time, and about being human. And not forgetting about being human, meaning about being critical when we have to be critical, and collaborative when we have to be collaborative. So that leaves us a bit with the 3 messages of the day. One is basically the illusion of certainty and how we fight it with intellectual curiosity. The second is basically the strategy first, not tech first approach, and have a framing when we actually deal with AI. And the third message that I've talked about is basically to know when to use it, how to use it, and basically have slow thinking. I know it's counterintuitive, but slow thinking helps, and it's not indecision. And I see that with a lot of experiences with clients and students that actually things are not necessarily going the right direction because we live in a world which is overwhelming with news, with the pace, technology, trends, uncertainty, complexity. So all of that needs to be structured in a way that would make sense. And when I was actually preparing this talk, I stumbled into a slide deck that I prepared more than 8 years ago. It was one of the first slide deck I prepared about AI. Still, AI was actually in an early stage. And I stumbled upon a quote. It was a quote by Albert Einstein that says, actually, machines are incredibly fast but stupid, while human beings are incredibly slow but brilliant. So let's keep us human, brilliant. Let's slow down. Let's pause. Let's think deep. Let's lead better and keep on our humanity to succeed in the age of AI. Thank you.